There's a moment every officer learns to recognize. That split second when calm turns to chaos. When the road ahead looks empty, but your gut says otherwise. On a cold evening in late autumn, in a small American town just off the interstate, that moment came without warning. What started as a simple traffic stop would unravel into a reckless chase, one that ended with a sound no cop ever forgets: the violent crunch of metal, and a scream over the radio that froze everyone listening. This is the story of a teenager who faked surrender and crashed into a cop car in a wild chase that shocked an entire department. It began just after 9 p.m. A patrol officer, 27 years old, 3 years on the job, was sitting in his cruiser near a gas station off County Road 12. Routine shift, quiet night. He'd seen a dark-colored sedan roll past him twice. No headlights, expired temporary tags, weaving slightly within its lane. Nothing that screamed felony stop, but enough to warrant a closer look. He ran the plates, no returns. He flipped on his lights. And in that moment, a decision was made. Not by the officer, but by the driver behind that wheel. The car slowed down. It drifted toward the shoulder. Brake lights flared red against the wet asphalt. "Maybe he's pulling over," the officer said into his radio. But just as the cruiser slowed behind it, the sedan jolted, tires squealing, engine roaring, and shot forward into the darkness. That's when the chase began. Dashcam footage shows the road snaking through empty farmland. No street lights, just the rhythmic flash of red and blue cutting through fog. The teen behind the wheel, later identified as 17-year-old Jason Miller, had no criminal record, no stolen car reports, no warrants. Just a borrowed vehicle and a fear that would spiral into something deadly. Investigators later learned Jason had run from home earlier that week after an argument with his father. He'd been sleeping on couches, skipping school, trying to act like an adult in a world that was never meant to go easy on him. That night, when the police lights appeared behind him, panic took over. He wasn't thinking about the law. He was thinking about running from everything. Over the next few minutes, the chase pushed through 4 miles of back roads, hitting speeds over 90. Dispatch warned nearby units. Tire spikes were prepared. But Jason's driving grew more erratic, crossing lanes, nearly losing control. One deputy later said it was like chasing a ghost. He'd disappear around a bend, and you didn't know what was waiting when you caught up. And then the twist no one expected. Jason slowed down. He rolled to a stop in the middle of an empty intersection. Hazards flashing, driver's door creaked open. For a moment, it looked over. The pursuing officer exited his car, gun drawn, shouting commands. "Get on the ground, hands where I can see them." Jason raised his hands. He turned, took a step back, and that's when the illusion shattered. In a split second, he lunged back into the car, slammed the door, and floored it. The tires screamed. The cruiser's dash cam caught the officer diving for cover as the sedan swerved toward him, narrowly missing before roaring off again into the night. He wasn't surrendering. He was faking it. The chase reignited, faster, louder, more dangerous than before. Additional units joined from both directions, boxing him in. Jason darted through a residential area, now front yards lit by passing strobes, families waking to the sound of pursuit echoing through their neighborhood. At one point, a woman standing by her window captured the moment on her phone. Her voice trembled. "Oh my God, he's gonna crash." She wasn't wrong. 2 blocks later, the sedan blew through a stop sign. The officer following barely had time to react. Jason's car fishtailed, clipped a mailbox, and spun, headlights flashing across the night before slamming head-on into a responding cruiser coming from the opposite side. The sound was like thunder. Metal folded like paper, glass scattered across the street. And for a moment, there was only silence. Then, chaos. Officers rushed toward the wreckage, both cars smoking, airbags deployed. "Officer down." The call rang out over the radio. Inside the cruiser, the deputy, a 38-year-old father of two, was pinned behind the wheel, conscious but bleeding. Jason's car was a mangled shell. He was slumped over the steering wheel, unconscious, breathing shallowly. Firefighters arrived within minutes. Paramedics cut through twisted metal, working side by side with the same officers he'd just been running from. And that's the thing about law enforcement. No matter how the story begins, the ending always comes back to humanity. They didn't see a suspect anymore. They saw a kid.
But for very different reasons.
Jason survived.
When Jason
So
woke
did the
up in his
deputy.
hospital bed the next morning,
Both were airlifted to
investigators
nearby
say he was
hospitals.
crying before they even
Neither
asked the
would
question.
forget that
He
night.
kept repeating the same thing. "I didn't mean to. I thought if I stopped, I'd go to jail. I just wanted to go home." The truth is, he didn't even have a plan. He had panic and the car. And in that moment, that was enough to destroy lives. The crash investigation revealed that Jason had borrowed the car from a friend without permission. The temporary tag was fake. There was no stolen property, no drugs, no weapon. It wasn't about crime. It was about fear. The kind that blinds judgment and turns mistakes into tragedies. Prosecutors charged him as an adult with felony fleeing, assault with a deadly weapon on a law enforcement officer, and reckless endangerment. The officer he struck suffered a broken leg and concussion, but made a full recovery. And months later, he told reporters something that stuck with everyone who heard it. He said, "People think we chase because we want to. We don't. We chase because sometimes running means someone else gets hurt, not just the driver, someone innocent, someone waiting at the next intersection." He paused, looked at the cameras, and added quietly, "That kid, I hope he learned something from it. I hope we all do." The story spread quickly. Body cam footage, dash cam clips, news segments replaying the crash frame by frame. Online, it became another viral headline. Teen pretends to surrender, then rams cop car. But stripped of the sound bites and the flashing lights, what remained was more complicated. Because every chase is more than a pursuit. It's a moment of collision between fear and authority, youth and consequence, impulse and control. Jason wasn't a hardened criminal. He was a scared teenager who made a series of catastrophic choices. And yet, those choices could have ended a man's life. Experts on high-speed pursuits often warn about this exact kind of situation, what they call the surrender trap. When suspects slow down, pretend to comply, and then take off again. Sometimes it's strategy, sometimes it's panic, but it always raises the stakes. Every time an officer exits their vehicle, they're gambling with trust, believing that maybe this time, the person in front of them will do the right thing. And sometimes they don't. Months later, Jason's case went before a judge. He pled guilty to reduced charges as part of a plea deal. The deputy he hit stood in court and gave a victim impact statement. He didn't ask for harsh punishment. He asked for understanding. He said, "I don't want to see another kid go down this road, literally or figuratively. You get one life. Don't throw it away trying to outrun a mistake." He listened quietly, head down. When it was his turn to speak, his voice was shaking. He said, "I thought I was just in trouble for a car. I didn't know I could have killed someone. I didn't know people would still help me after what I did." The courtroom was silent, and for once, there was no chase, no noise. Just the sound of accountability settling in. Stories like this don't make easy headlines. They live in the gray area, where a bad decision doesn't mean a bad person, but where consequences are still real. It's easy to say he should have known better, harder to ask why he didn't. Maybe it's fear, maybe pride, maybe the belief that running buys time, when in reality, it only burns it. And maybe that's the tragedy of it all. So many young people today are running from parents, from pain, from consequences, not realizing that some roads only go one way. For the officers who were there that night, the scars are more than physical. The deputy who was struck still drives the same roads. He says sometimes when he sees a car hesitate at his lights, his heart stops for a second, waiting to see what happens next. And for Jason, who's now serving time in a youth facility, there's no more running, no fake surrender. Just the long, slow reckoning of what happens after the lights go out. He told his probation officer in a later interview, "If I could take back 1 second, just one, it would be the second I put my hands up and lied." The footage from that night has been viewed millions of times online. It's dramatic, it's shocking, but it's also a reminder. Behind every chase, every viral clip, every crash that makes the evening news, there are human beings on both sides of the camera. One trying to prove control, the other trying not to lose it. And sometimes, it takes the sound of metal colliding for the world to finally listen. There's a saying in law enforcement: you can fake surrender, but you can't fake consequence. Because no matter how fast you run, no matter how clever you think your next move is, the truth always catches up. Sometimes in blue lights, sometimes in broken glass, and sometimes in the quiet aftermath, when you finally realize the hardest thing to escape from is yourself. This is what happens when surrender isn't real.